Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome back to this session of our course in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. Today, we are going to complete our session that we were discussing in the last time, that was reverse logistics. And once reverse logistics the portion is covered, we will get into another very important area of logistics and supply chain management, and that is called the cold chain logistics. Cold chain logistics, of course, we will discuss later, but just to give you a brief, as you all know that our country is developing in terms of production, distribution and delivery of frozen goods, items which are perishable in nature, pharmaceutical items. So, the entire management of such products right from the time that it is produced till the time it is delivered to the customers, and in between what are the precautions required, how the logistics is managed, is all about cold chain logistics. But then before we do that, we have to complete our session on reverse logistics. Just to go back and recap what we discussed about reverse logistics. A manufacturing company, the role of a manufacturing company is to produce a particular product in its plant, in its factories. It goes through the distribution channel, it will go to the different logistics sector, the facilities, whether it is warehouse, distribution centers, the distributors, retailer, and finally, the purpose of manufacturing is to deliver to the customer. So, this entire process is what we call the forward logistics. But then there are situations when a responsibility of the company is not over only by delivering the goods. The company is also responsible and has to make sure that the company has delivered the good the way it was required by the customer, that the particular product, it's functioning the way customer wanted or as assured by the company earlier when it sold the goods to the customer. If it does not do it, if that particular product does not function, there is a need for the company to take action in terms of either replacing the product or repairing the product. Other than repairing or replacement, reverse logistics, if you remember, is also involved in recycling of products, in reusing certain products once they are used. We have seen that in case of soft drinks, where glass bottles, once they are consumed, once the soft drinks are consumed, the glass bottles are again brought back from where it has been used, either at a retailer or at a customer's place, back to the bottling plant, washed and refilled, and again sent back to the market, that is to the consumers. Similar thing happens with soft drink being sold on plastic bottles. They are not reused for the soft drinks again, because that would be harmful for the consumers, but at the same time they are not thrown away as a waste. They are recycled and they are reused for a different product altogether, which is not harmful, for instance children toys. So, there are different reasons for which reverse logistics function applies in the entire supply chain process. Another very important factor in reverse logistics, if you remember, we discussed that the reverse logistics do not attract revenue for the company. We will study at a later stage. It is very important to understand that in reverse logistics, a particular shipment goes through various channels and finally ends up with the customer. Now, the shipment again needs to be brought back to the manufacturer for whatever reasons it may be, as we have discussed, and we will go through those reasons once again one by one. But to give you a general idea, we said that this reverse logistics process only adds cost for the company. The cost may be minimum if the reverse logistics is handled efficiently by a particular company, but still there is a cost. Even if it is handled well and efficiently, it would only reduce the amount of money that is spent for this particular logistics. And we also give you a figure of 7 to 8%. That means to return a particular shipment from customer to the manufacturer, and the reason why it is returned to the manufacturer is because once it is repaired, refilled, it needs to come back to the original customer, and that is why the shipment is brought back. It is either replaced, repaired, refilled, whatever it may be, it finally goes back to the customer. So, it adds cost because no company charges a customer for reverse logistics. A customer pays a manufacturer only for the forward logistics. That means to buy the material, not to return the material. Now, we will study at a later stage, at an advanced stage, maybe in the second year of your MBA curriculum, that the supply chain, and we have been discussing this, supply chain management is extremely dynamic. The entire world of supply chain is evolving, changing for good. Companies are trying to find out different ways and means to earn revenue, convert a cost component to a revenue component. So, this is what is called closed loop supply chain, because it is not only one way, it is both ways. It is going in a loop. It is going in a loop. Now, you think of a vehicle which after a customer has used for a certain period of time and the customer does not need the vehicle any further, that is not returned to the manufacturer because it is faulty, it needs repair, it needs replacement. No. There are a number of times we return or we buy a new vehicle and we return our old vehicle to get certain discounts. That is true for many products, right from books to electronic goods like maybe TV, maybe washing machines. So, furniture for instance, there are a lot of items that manufacturer would gladly buy back and replace it with a new item. Now, what does that manufacturer do with that old item? The manufacturer tries to find out a way to earn revenue by modifying that whatever item we have just discussed. For example, a car, an old model sent back to the manufacturer is modified because after a certain period of time the value of that particular vehicle comes down, but through modification, through certain changes in its features or adding certain features, the manufacturer is able to. We are talking of manufacturer, there were earlier the dealers or the retailers who used to buy or used to take back these old model car and resell to customers who were willing to buy second hand cars. Now, the manufacturers have stepped in because they have seen an opportunity of earning some revenue. So, the manufacturer tells the retailer or the distributor that you get the car back to our manufacturing unit. We will modify the car through modifications, through some improvement of features. We are going to enhance the price of that second hand car, of the used car, and can sell in the market at a higher price. So, if you see, this is another type of reverse logistics. Of course, we are not going to discuss this reverse logistics in detail in this session, but since we discussed in the last session that reverse logistics is only about adding cost in the supply chain, and it is not. There are several items which are recycled, which are sent back to the manufacturer. And again, now in this case of car, how is it different from this reverse logistics? It is different because the car which is modified may not come back to the same manufacturer, same customer. Here in reverse logistics, a shipment is sent back for repair, and after the repair it has to come back to the same customer, or it has been sent because it is damaged, it needs replacement. So, after replacement it has to come back to the same customer. But what happens when I sell my old car and buy a new one? So, the old car goes back to the manufacturer and not necessarily come back to me. It will find another buyer. So, it will not come back to the same customer, it may go to the second customer, but the difference is in the process the manufacturer gets a channel of to add to its revenue on the same car. So, he earns twice on the same car, first when it is sold as a new car, second when it is sold as a used car. So, reverse logistics is changing. But we are not going to discuss the second model right now, we are going to discuss the original or the traditional reverse logistics. One by one we are going to again look at what makes reverse logistics, why is reverse logistics required in a supply chain process, what are the areas where reverse logistics process is applicable. Let us see the presentation one by one, and we will go through them quickly because we have already discussed them earlier. So, we will go through the reasons or the areas one by one quite quickly. Repairs and refurbishing, any items which are subject to repair, which needs servicing over a period of time. It could be an electronic item, for instance, a TV, a washing machine, which has a warranty period. The manufacturer promises a warranty period, or it extends a period within which any component of that particular item can be replaced or repaired free of cost within that particular period of time, and again sent back to the customer. If for whatever reasons it may not be because of the production error or manufacturing error, for whatever reasons it may be, if that particular item does not function within a particular period of time, if it malfunctions, does not produce the desired result, the manufacturer takes the responsibility of getting that item back, repair and sent back to the customer. There are cases when items are delivered damaged, or there are serious errors in the functions of the item that has been delivered. So, those items are immediately replaced by the manufacturer. So, one is replacement, one is repair, and the other one is refurbishing. And as we have been saying, we discussed this earlier, reverse logistics has a lot to do with customer satisfaction, because a customer ideally expects a manufacturer to act promptly and take action on any malfunctioning of whatever item, maybe electronic or goods or electrical gadgets, whatever it may be. So, a manufacturer would always want to hold the customer, would always like the customer to be attached and remain loyal to that particular company. So, number of times they extend the warranty period, they will extend the warranty period free of cost, they will extend the warranty period at a discounted rate, and they give a number of benefits, just basically to keep the client loyal to its company and remains its brand image intact in the market. Let us go to the next slide, shows a structural view of how the pickup from customer back to manufacturer and what the facilities or the functions of different units of supply chain play for the entire process of repairs and refurbishing, and we did discuss this earlier. So, we are not going to spend any more time on this. Refilling, this is we have discussed, and since these are very important areas of supply chain management, reverse logistics, we do not mind discussing very quickly what we discussed already last time. Refilling, at the very beginning we said it is about items which are like plastic bottle, like the glass bottles as far as the soft drink is concerned, the cylinder which contains cooking gas for us, once they are consumed the cooking gas is taken back. And since reverse logistics adds cost to the company, we said the company will do its best possible to ensure that this cost is kept at the minimum possible. So, this pickup and delivery of gas cylinders or glass bottles are done in a very systematic way, in a very planned way. And we discuss about a hub and spoke system. If you go to the next slide, which will show you the hub and spoke system, where the bottling plant functions as the hub, whereas the distribution areas, within the distribution area there are many units, maybe retailers. So, one representative going in a particular distribution area visits the different units which has empty bottles, picks up the empty bottle and simultaneously deliver the filled bottles and simultaneously pick up the empty bottles, and this is done from all the distribution area. In this case, we have shown 3 distribution areas as A, B and C, and they come to the common bottling plant, which is the hub. So, if you see, there is an optimization that has been used, there has been efficiency that has been used in terms of delivery of bottles and pickup of empty bottles. By doing so, a company reduces or keeps a control on its transportation cost, on its local transportation cost. So, this is also called a milk run sometimes, where a particular representative or a vehicle, he goes through a particular distribution area, follows a particular route, visits a number of customers and simultaneously deliver and pick up shipments, goods, items, whatever it is, and come back to the distribution center or the warehouse or the bottling plant or the stocking point. If we use different mechanisms, different vehicles, different manpower for pickup and delivery separately, it is just going to double my transportation, delivery and pickup cost. Products recall. So, the next slide says product recall. Why is a product recalled? What do you mean by recall? Brought back. So, company would bring back a particular product for whatever reasons. Today in this competitive world of supply chain, there is every company is going through very stiff competition. Every company is trying to dodge past or go past its competitor by way of better services. So, a company cannot afford to deliver or distribute a product which is lesser than what is desired by the market or the consumer. So, once a product is sent to the market and seen that is not accepted by the customer, a company does not take any chance and rather bring back the entire lot, entire shipment back to its plant or manufacturing unit and does whatever modifications, repairs that is required. So, what we have done, we have studied a reverse logistics because of repairs, reverse logistics because refurbishing is required, reverse logistics because refilling is required, and number 3, reverse logistics because a product should be recalled. Maybe a packaging has been used which is against the environment mandates of the government. Maybe certain information has not been given on the item as a statutory requirement by the government of India. So, there could be a number of reasons. In case a particular component is not working, if a particular feature is not functioning as the way the company had promoted or marketed, so a product is called back. The company would rather spend additional money by recalling this product, they would spend additional money through repair or modifying the product, they would not take any chance in still going ahead with the delivery of this product in the market, entire market, because the customer would soon express their dissatisfaction, and in the process the company would lose its reputation and brand image. We have seen a number of cases. In a recent times, one leading vehicle manufacturer had recalled a whole lot of their vehicles. For obvious reasons, I cannot name the brand of the vehicle company, for the automobile company. They had recalled their entire fleet of vehicles because the emission rate, the emission part of that vehicle was not functioning as desired by the, or as required by the Government of India, or as per the norms and rules set by the Government of India. Recycling, let us go to the next slide. Recycling and waste disposal. Leftover materials. Please see the important words over here. Used products, wrappers, they create a lot of pollution when they are spread all over the place. In many countries, governments are devising regulations to make manufacturers responsible for such acts and minimize waste. They expect them not to pollute the atmosphere and use these materials for recycling. So, what is the recycling process? Collection of waste materials and deliver it to the center, which is earmarked for recycling. Process the recyclables to create secondary inputs. Using secondary materials for manufacturing new products. Returning the products to the manufacturer for recovering the inputs reuse. Recovering the inputs for reuse. So, if you see any manufacturing company, once they have produced their core product, their main product, whichever industry it may be, they will always land up. If you remember, we always at the beginning particularly, to make it simple for you to understand, we have been correlating supply chain management to our kitchen in our in every home. Now, once a cooking process is over, we are left over with lot of waste products. Okay. It could be plastic covers, it could be the vegetables leftovers, it could be the oil which may have spilled over, it may be the empty glass bottles, it could be the shells of the of eggs. So, there are many products which are of no use to us, because we have finally prepared our food, but even we cannot at a domestic level also, we are also not allowed to throw these products away the way we want to. There is lot of process that has been set to dispose these waste in a proper manner. Let me tell you, all these waste are collected and sent for recycling, for making fertilizers, for making fuels, for making whatever possible, rather than throwing them or exposing them to the environment and polluting it. Now, think of a manufacturer. A manufacturer does not produce item which is in as small scale as our kitchen, as our food. They are producing items in huge quantities. So, they have lot of waste materials in terms of scraps, in terms of wrappers, in terms of the oil wastes. So, there are many items which are left over once the actual product has been made. Now, these items would otherwise create environmental pollution if they are thrown away as garbage or dumped somewhere else. as garbages. Now, government has made it mandatory for every company, and we will study this subject separately, which is called green supply chain. We want to make our environment, we want to make our entire supply chain process green. We do not want to create a world which is as it is polluted. There is as it is a serious concern about pollution globally. So, we do not expect the manufacturers, the producers to create further pollution. So, the companies are devising ways and means to recycle, to reuse these leftovers, and as we have discussed, wrappers, packages, waste, whatever, and use them properly, take it to a sorting center, and depending upon what the leftovers are, whether it's in the nature of plastic, whether it is in nature of an oil, whether it's in nature of sawdust, whatever it may be. So, every company today is devising a way of recycling this product and make a totally new product, or use it to the benefit of some other industry. They may reuse, they may produce another item which may not be used for his own company, but maybe for some other country, for some other industry. For instance, a particular waste product may be reused and made fertilizers to fertile the soil. So, it may be sent to the farmers, it may be sent to the company who are dealing in agriculture. For instance, at the very beginning we did discuss about these plastic bottles. The plastic bottles that we see every now and then used by Pepsi or Coca-Cola or anybody as PET bottles, as plastic bottles. So, once they are used, and that is true for the mineral water bottles as well. Now, these bottles are not allowed to be used as mineral waters, as soft drinks, rather they are recycled, sent to the sorting center, and these companies have found out a way to use this. What they do is that they destroy the plastic, they cut the plastics apart, they segregate, they take the caps out and use the plastics which are very harmful otherwise for the environment, as it definitely causes pollution, and they use this plastics for some other industry, and we said this in the toy industries. This is just an example. So, there are various such cases, instances, case studies where we will know how waste products are recycled and reused for the benefit or for some other industry or for some other benefits. Let us go to the next slide. Remanufacturing. Manufacturers in developed countries are putting in practice a new concept of remanufacturing. During the usage, it goes wear and tear, worn out parts are replaced with new ones. Equipment sold can be checked after use to the remanufacturing process and be brought back to the remanufacturing unit. The investment in remanufacturing related reverse logistics supply chain can be justified on the basis of economies of scale. This is exactly what I was discussing when at the initial during this session at the beginning. I was discussing about the closed loop, and I did say this reverse logistics is not always about enhancing cost for a company. The company would remanufacture, not necessarily remanufacture, but modify the feature, modify those components which have worn out. As I said, vehicles is one example, some machineries, and there can be several such instances where such items, once they have been used for a certain period of time, goes through a certain process of wear and tear, does not function the way it was when it was new. So, it loses its value to the customer. So, it is bought at a depreciated rate, at a reduced price from the customer, remanufactured, modified, features goes through some development, some improvement, and they are sold, they are resold. Here we are talking of economies of scale. Why we are using the word economies of scale? Because the same system, the same supply chain system is taking care of both the forward logistics, reverse logistics, and the remanufacturing function. So, when we use the same system for more and more functions, the value of that particular system or infrastructure, so the cost of each of these functions, they go down. If you remember, by economies of scale in production, any system, any facility would have its fixed cost. It has its own cost, its cost of infrastructure, its cost of electricity, its power, manpower, whatever it may be, there are fixed costs. So, more we produce, the lesser are the cost of production per unit, because we are using the same system for producing more and more items. Here we are using the same supply chain system for the forward logistics function, for the reverse logistics function, as well as for remanufacturing and selling to the customer as used items. And there is a huge market. You will be surprised if you have seen today we have different e-commerce platforms which are only meant for buying and selling used products. Whether it's eBay, whether it's whatever. So, there is a huge market. So, the companies have focused on this market. The company has taken advantage of this market, who are willing to buy back used materials, used manufacturers. OLX is another company, and we all know that it is nothing new for us. Whether it is a car, whether it is a machine, whether it is a TV, whether it is a washing machine, whether it is furniture, whether it is whatever it may be, there is a market available for purchasing second hand products or as a second buy. And manufacturers have seen a potential, and they use the reverse logistics effectively for the benefit and for generating revenue. Let us see the next slide. The next slide tells you, in order to, as I said, to operate a very efficient process driven supply chain logistics, the system configuration should be absolutely spot on. Now, what do you mean by system configuration? The way forward logistics has a system configuration, from manufacturing unit it has to go to the assembly section probably, then to the warehouse, then to the distributor, then a distribution network system, distribution, retailer, customer, etc. So, the entire network needs to be designed to ensure that performance, cost, everything is at an optimum level. The same thing is required for reverse logistics, because I keep repeating that yes, there is a cost element in reverse logistics. So, the network design for reverse logistics has to be done in a very systematic manner. Let us see the slide. The success of reverse logistics system in achieving the desired objective. So, efficiency, effectiveness required. Now, reverse logistics means that a product needs to be retrieved from a customer. Now, where does this product lie? We have to identify the location of the product from where it needs to be picked up, right. So, the first step is call back. The process is to identify the product location in the physical distribution system of the farm. So, the farm has a physical distribution system right from the manufacturer to the end customer through a channel of distributor, wholesaler, stockist and retailer. Within that chain, he has to find out where does this product lie, because the product location becomes very difficult to locate. It is a bit easier in the case of industrial or high value product due to limited number of customers and personal interaction with the client due to direct selling. Now, think of a situation when an industrial product, suppose an industrial fan, and industrial fans are sold to not that many customers as TVs are sold, right. A TV has a large base of consumers. A TV would have millions of customers, but not an industrial fan. Industrial fans, as an example, just as an example, is only sold to limited customers. It is a business to business transaction. So, once a product is sold, it is very, and the product is not performing and needs to be brought back, it is relatively easier for me to identify where this product is lying. Suppose within the country, whether it is lying in Gujarat or Tamil Nadu or Ludhiana or Guwahati or Bengal, whatever it may be. But when a TV does not function, and there are millions, any company would be selling thousands of TV every month or every year, and if it not functions, it is not very easy to identify where this particular defective product is lying. So, that is one point of locating. So, once we locate, so the first step for efficient management of reverse logistics is identifying the location, and it is much easier for industrial products, relatively more difficult for consumer goods. Let us go to the next slide. So, first is the location from where it is to be picked up. Now, once we have identified the location, our next responsibility or function is to collect the product. And what are involved in collection of the product? This can be done either through company's field force, channel members, third party, to motivate the customer. Now I know where this shipment is lying, from where it is to be picked up. Earlier I discussed that since a company, a logistics or supply chain managers are always thinking in terms of reducing cost of reverse logistics, they would not try to build an additional system to collect the material. They would rather use the same distribution system. That means a product from manufacturer to the distributor or wholesaler or retailer. So, a distributor has number of retailers, a manufacturer has number of distributors, and similarly a retailer has number of customers. So, number of distributor, wholesaler, number of distributor and wholesaler. A company will never try to build an additional infrastructure. Suppose the shipment has to be picked up from this customer. The customer, the company would always like the shipment to come back in the same flow, because in that way they can use the existing infrastructure, existing vehicle, existing manpower. They can use the same route which we had discussed when we were discussing distribution of bottles and delivery of bottles and picking up of. So, similar techniques, similar routing are essential for product collection. This much for this session before the break. We will have a short break and we will discuss further on reverse logistics on the other side of the break. Thank you.